Taylor and Pye sit on 2 wins apiece in their respective classes. They're both positioned well at this stage of the series, though clearly they haven't run it perfect. Summit Point will make it easy to trip over yourself for potentially others. So will they be able to keep up the good performances? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch the PCA Sim Racing Series 8 live here on Podium Esports. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth tonight is Rachel Whiteford and Michael Johnson. Cameron Abernon is on social media, along with Ryan Bauer producing, who's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. It might appear like that infamous West Virginia country road due to its size, but let's head to our track guide to find out more about Summit Point. Welcome to Summit Point Raceway. Once the stomping grounds of IMSA and Trans Am vehicles thundering through the West Virginia mountains, this circuit is now mainly used for club racing and performance driver training. Situationed a couple hours west of Washington, D.C., there are actually 2 entirely separate circuits that can be tackled here on the iRacing service. The main circuit is just shy of 2 miles in length, including 10 turns, and can be chopped off into the short version, which has 9 turns and only 1.5 miles for a lap. The Jefferson circuit is its own 1.1 mile piece of pavement with a mere 7 turns and uniquely can be run in reverse. Both tracks are astonishingly narrow and provide quite a technical challenge. On the main course, the most popular place to pass is down into the first corner hairpin. While some drivers may try a brave dive into turn 5, the frighteningly fast-kinked entry makes it prone to things going wrong quickly. Between there and turn 9, it's essentially a single-file affair with nothing but tight and twisty bends snaking their way around. The Jefferson circuit isn't used as often, and because there are a few straights long enough to get a run on someone, most drivers are forced to wait for a mistake to pounce on. Otherwise, qualifying will be key. Believe it or not, IMSA's GT class raced here in the late 80s, and even Can-Am stopped in back in 86. While it probably sees much more competition here in the virtual world, it's easy to see why plenty of real drivers love to take their vehicles out to try and tackle this historic Appalachian venue. Well, with DJ having to take off with commentary duty in real life, Michael, I'm glad that we have you stepping in because of all people, an actual instructor for this course. Surely you can tell us what the drivers have to look out for here.
Well, the biggest thing you got to look out for here is honestly the grass. The grass will come out and get you. There's some places where you see the grass, where you see the road going along, and then it suddenly just closes in. Going through the chute is one great example of that. You have a little bit of a wider section of track, and then boop, suddenly it's gone. Same thing happens going up to turn 1. Now, in this roughly 2 miles of track, only 10 turns, but they are amazingly difficult to get perfect. We actually use this track to teach everyone from amateur racers, do pro racers out there sometimes, and even we'll just say they claim to be gardeners, but they work for 3-letter agencies, so we're not sure exactly what they do and why they need to drive so fast. But yes, it's a fantastic place to learn and really hone your skills. And you'll see a bunch of people trying a couple of different lines through places. The lines here are tried and true, and the only reason to do a different line here is really to defend or throw somebody off their game. So it'll be really exciting to see how this 2-mile 10-turn track puts a little bit of playfulness in the brains of these drivers today.
Yeah, I've never seen gardeners that needed earpieces and fancy sunglasses that way. But as we take a look at Sean Murphy, who hasn't set a time yet, he's amongst about 10 drivers that have yet to put one on the board here in qualifying. It's going to be important to get a good one down, Rachel. We saw so when we were here on Wednesday with fewer cars than this. We've got a huge field, so I got to think track position even more important.
Well, that's one thing we discovered on Wednesday. Track position is super vital here, and it's going to be really important to get that great starting position because you'll need to maintain it through the race. And these guys are going to have to really push this one today. Wednesday would hopefully have been one of those ones they all watched and took notes on, because this track is, I think, easy to drive, as Michael says, but hard to drive fast. and it will bite you. And it may say it has 10 corners, but there's definitely a few more bends than that, so I'm calling him out on that one. Yeah.
Absolutely. And Garrett Taylor now, who is on our provisional poll, is on his final flyer. As I mentioned in the intro, has 2 out of the 3 wins in each of the races that have taken place. And that was a little wide there. Michael just dipping the wheels into the grass. He's actually kind of lucky he didn't spin the car across. So we come off of the paddock bend and to the line. Let's see what this one winds up being. A 108.6, so that's not going to be faster for him. Patterson is coming to the line. He's in second place. He's about a quarter of a second off that pole time. He also doesn't improve. Terrence Tong, who sits in third, is quickly coming across. So many of our top 5 flying down to the line to try and see if they can top Taylor. But so far, Rachel, none of them have been able to get close enough.
No one's really gotten close to it yet, which is exciting to see. We'll see what Marco Harris can do for this one. The Connecticut Valley region driver going to put his time on the board here, but no, this track will definitely be a hard one to complete. It's a very fast lap by the math. It's 1:08 we're looking at right now, but our 1 second bracket, which is usually an indicator of general competitiveness, well, today that will actually kind of extend all the way back to nearly 20th place. 19th. Yeah, 1 second. 19 cars. It's going to be racy.
And now everybody has a time in. Mark Harris, the most recent, put himself into 24, so it's a good thing he managed that. We did see a few drivers manage to climb through the field and make good inroads. Passing is possible out here, Michael, clearly. But the other thing that we did see in that is that some of them tried to use the pit stops to their advantage and actually wound up working to better effect than we anticipated. So I'm wondering if those who were watching earlier this week kind of took notes on that.
Well, the pit lane here is fairly short and comes out before start-finish. So it feeds out just before start-finish, and you've got a nice run down to turn 1, 2 as you come out of it. So you're not that far off pace. As long as you don't hit the wall and go for a little spinny top thing, you should be good. But coming out of that pit lane, you are able to get up and go, get up and boogie all the way down to turn 1. So it's really interesting to see. It will be really interesting to see how pit stops and the guidance that people are taking on how to run them and how to get through them, trying to fold themselves back out into traffic. I think that's going to be a big game changer here.
And Albie going across the line makes our final driver able to set a lap. That means our grid is now set here today for race number 4. And Garrett Taylor is on the pole with Michael Patterson starting to his outside. It'll be Terrence Tong who starts from P3 with Sean Murphy in the 4th position. Will Waldron will be in P5. He'll be flanked by Jake Faulkner. In row 4, it is Joachim Baker who starts from 7th position. David Glenn will be in P8. Aaron Nations will be in 9th. And then we've got Tom Hilt rounding out the top 10. Rachel?
11th place will be Bruce Robinson with 12th, Jake Steinbrink. Fabio Andrade in 13th, Aaron Ambrosino. 14th, Brett Holmes, 15th place. Conor Binkley in 16th. Keith Morgan, 17th. Tama Elbaga in 18th place with Dean Chapman, 19th. And Daniel Florian in 20th.
In 21st, it's Volker Krebs in my favorite car, the Hague car. It's Stephen Kemp in 22nd, Patrick Gill, 23rd, Mark Harris, Gary Rice, Ben Lung, Ken Eskridge, Mike Knighton, Dave Stewart, and Chip Witt will roll out the top 30.
After that, it's Kevin Douglas on the next slide with Vidal Urbesh in 32nd. You've got Peter Roth in 33rd. George Makadakis starts 34th position. Albi Blanco, who we saw put the last time in, will start from 35th. Richard Franco is 36th, Chris Duffy 37th, and George Poulos 38th. Final row of the field, Kevin Haman and Trey Davis. 40 drivers, the largest we have seen in all of the races so far this week. And looks like we are just about heading over into the grid here in a moment. It is somewhat early in the morning, like we saw on Wednesday here, Michael, at 71 degrees Fahrenheit, just past 9 a.m. virtual standard time. So I got to imagine they'll have to take at least a couple corners to get the tires up to working temperature.
This track really does need some time. And I can tell you from real life that first thing in the morning, it is quite greasy every single day. It's up in the hills in West Virginia. There's a fair amount of humidity up there, and it just has a nice dewiness that sits on the surface. So the first laps are always a little bit hairy. However, this should be rolling over from the qualifying, so I expect we'll have a little bit more traction than, let's say, that first run out there in one of the Crown Vics.
Yeah, that's true. And Rachel, we made such a big deal out of being concerned about the start on the first two races for the Challenge and the Sport, but they handled it quite well, honestly. Both starts were clean. However, it's this club class that has proven in the first few races to be a little bit chaotic. Should we be concerned?
Yeah, of course, always. This is a track where turn one could be a mess, but then again, so can every corner here.
Yeah, as always. And wow, everybody grids up quite quickly today. So we just about have everybody out there. I see a few in the mid-pack that need to make their way to the grid. Ambrosino looks like he is going to be the last one. Nope, looks like we need Naiden in. No, he is gridded up. So at this point, the 08 is the only one hanging them up, and we haven't even hit a minute. Usually they get about 2 minutes to try and get themselves ready to go and take away on the grid, but they did not take their sweet time this time. They are raring to get this race rolling. Remember, standing starts now in this series, so the drivers have that to contend with. They've had 3 times to try and get it under their feet. Hopefully they've got it down pat by now. Ambrosino's out there, which means the engines now start to rev as the lights come up, and the green flag is out off the line. Our leader is very good. Garrett Taylor starts to streak away. Patterson, not so hot. Terrence Tong, though, is just mildly faster, so he is not quite side by side. Under braking, he is much braver as they almost go 3 wide down for the first turn. And that's going to send Sean Murphy out. He catches the car, trying to see if we have any other problems. But Rachel, it looks like we're clean.
It does indeed, yeah. It looks like things got through here with no trouble whatsoever. Coming up now through the kink to the left hand. Oh, what about trouble?
One car off, not seeing any others so far. I think that's Tom Hilt. Oh, and now at the back of the field, we get a few drivers collected. They scatter, just 2 go off. That's better than it could have been, frankly. It's just a couple cars having a few low-speed hits. And up here at the front, Garrett Taylor starts to lead away. It is already 1 second ahead of Terrence Tong. Michael, this bodes well for the 529.
Well, not to put the commentator's curse on him, but he's really pulling away here, opening up a beautiful gap. Right now, he's over a second, and they were just on turn 10. By the time he gets down to the start-finish line, it's going to be about 1.2 seconds. He's absolutely streaking away from these guys, just putting on an absolute masterclass at this track. I watched his entire lap, and he did not put a foot wrong. He was with cold tires out there, dropping the car in the right place, got a beautiful launch. Oh, there we go. Becker's gone off.
Just outbraked himself. He was under pressure at that moment and went too deep into turn 1. He's trying to get back on cleanly, and thankfully eventually does as we come back up towards the top of the field, down into the chute and into yard sale once more. We watch Terrence Tong do his best to chase him down. And that's not going to help as he spins around. Patterson gets a piece of him. He's stuck in the middle of the track trying to stay put. He's going to take a tow, and poor Patterson goes off course after that damage. Not sure if that is what sent him off or he just got a little bit unnerved by the action as we come back on with Andrade in P8.
Yeah, we do. Andrade here coming up now behind 7th place. There's Faulkner just ahead of him here under the bridge now as they'll come diving down here. This is actually a little bit further on than I thought. That's the final corner, actually not under the part I was thinking it was. But you can run really wide here on the exit, and it's really important to do so just to get some maximum speed coming out onto this straight. And I'll tell you what's more fun than this is lap 2 on the club layout, Michael. You know, the one where it cuts off about halfway down the pit straight?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. try getting them to actually keep that clean on lap number 2 when they first arrive at that.
That can be a challenge for sure as we watch. Oh! So this is one of our big passing points. I got to point out that turn 3, while it is a very fast corner, if you come off turn 2 just right, you can have a beautiful opportunity for passing going in there. Now, it will compromise the rest of your lap. And if you're trying to close down on somebody, it makes it very difficult. But let's say you got spun early and you are much faster. That's a great place to make a pass, as well as even the entrance to turn 10, which some people think is a bad idea. I can tell you from experience, done it many times and it works beautifully.
So a few problems. We still have 39 of the drivers still out on track, but Terrence Tong's incident has left him waiting for the tow to finish to see if he's able to return to the circuit. So Taylor continues to lead. Waldron now inherits second place. Jake Faulkner is promoted to third. Patterson fell down to seventh. That's why we were on board with Andrade there in the 12 car, giving chase as we hop a little farther back. Oh, and somebody's fallen down the order. That's Robinson going deep into the first corner as well. This is David Glenn in the 6th spot with quite the friend joining him there, Rachel, in his room.
Yeah, it is. And, well, hopefully his driving and corner aim is better than his friend's.
This is true. As we come down through yard sale once again, Glenn just hovering outside of the top 5. Ooh, and Urbesh just had a problem in turn 3, so he's going to fall to the back of the field as well. So it's as tricky as we figured it was going to be here, Michael. But for the most part, the majority of the field seems to be rifling off laps.
Yeah, what tends to happen here at this track is you kind of get into a groove. You find where you like to put the car. So you find yourself in a groove and you kind of have a little bit of a concertina effect, a little accordion effect through the different sectors as you're faster in one spot where the person in front of you is faster in a different spot. But it all kind of averages itself out. And then you're just waiting for mistakes. You're waiting for the grass to reach out and grab someone.
And that recently grabbed Peter Rotes. Not sure what happened to him. Though he had a little bit of help, unfortunately. Some contact, it appears, between himself and Kevin Haman sent him into the barriers as things staying close here. Coming out of turn 1. And this is the battle that we're watching currently, I believe, for looks like 24th place. Joachim Baker, one of those that went off. And there goes wide behind him, Mike Neiden. And he is going to lose a position, it looks like, to Dave Stewart as they come into the chute. Nope, Stewart's going to back out of that one.
Yeah, looking out, staying safe there. Sorry, go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, I was probably about to say the exact same thing you were. It sounded like we were on the same wavelength there.
Well, as we continue on, it has been shuffled around quite a bit up at the front, but not for P1. Garrett Taylor is now about 4.1 seconds over Waldron. Waldron also kind of in an island to himself. He's got about 1.7 seconds down to Jake Faulkner. Oh, we've had a huge accident behind them, and that was Aaron Nations. What in the world happened there? I saw a car flying suddenly, and it looks like Nations, holy cow, he took out, I think it was Murphy.
Yeah, looks like maybe didn't hold the brake when he went off track. Let's take a look here at the replay as he drops into turn 1, coming out through turn 2. Oh, gets a little wide, and yeah, there was nothing he could do. He was a passenger at that point. Once he hit that grass on the inside of 2, there was no chance he had any control over that car.
Now maybe you can enlighten us here since you've been in there in real life. And here they go off to the ether. So where does that transport you to?
You mean when you go off track? And you
His
find
car
that
disappeared because he left the confines. So
it'll take you right back to the pit. But in here, because you're off in the ether. But right there, out of turn 2, there's a little camping area. There's a cutover just a little down from there that you can go back into the main paddock area.
I was mostly teasing to see what kind of wormhole it would wind up taking you to in real life. But
we can't talk about that part, though, because remember, the three-letter agencies are there, and it's secret technology.
Yes. Excuse me. Sorry. Forgot that was top secret there. We watched Stephen Kemp. This is in 15th, chasing Chapman, Florian Robinson, Morgan, and at the front of this group, Aaron Ambrosino. Up from 14th to 10th, not too shabby here in that bright green car, but we saw this story last time out, Rachel, where a train seemed to form often, and sometimes it looked like drivers just couldn't seem to do anything about that lead car.
Yeah, that could often happen. It's very hard to dislodge people. It's easy to follow, but it can really get tricky to actually make that group pass, because when you've got guys behind you, you're trying to defend against them, because it can be very easy when you're bottled up together in a little pack to fight each other. So you've got to be very careful, but the leader often has that clean out, which makes a big difference here in the corners.
And looks like Stephen Kemp has jumped into pit lane. Now, was this scheduled? Let's see, we're 31 minutes in. This is very early. If he is right on the verge, if this is a scheduled stop, and it was only 9.5 seconds, which is about the time they need for fuel here. Well, this is strange. We'll see if it works out for him. Again, he was at the back of a train, so maybe it was a tactical ploy, but it'll be tight on fuel, I gotta imagine, now as we watch I think this is the 21 here that we're following. So this is Faulkner working on second place Waldron. Now, he was farther ahead, Michael. Not sure how he caught up so quickly, but the battle is now on.
Yeah, they're pretty tight now, only 0.3 of a second, and that's not a lot as we watch him coming out of turn 10 here, heading up towards the start-finish line. Now it's going to be an interesting, nice maneuver right there. See how he came over to that center line just a little bit, protecting the inside, keeping the trailing car from trying to make that pass. Moves back ever so gently. This is not multiple moves. This is just kind of wandering a little bit. But wow, look at him come off at turn 2. That was amazing how much more traction he has coming out of turn 2 up into turn 3. Now, if we watch here, is this where he's going to be able to close back down? Because he has a little bit of a draft coming through the chute here.
Yeah, it seems like turns 1 and 2, Waldron just has that one nailed as he skittered away. Made it a lot less of a fight. Behind them, there's also a bit of a train forming back there too. And you can see that's being led by Glenn. Patterson's chasing. They've also got Andrade still in there. He's been promoted to 6th after that accident that we witnessed before. And Steinbrink also in there. Speaking of that accident, Aaron Nations looks like he's been given a black flag, so he'll have to come in and serve that if he hasn't already. And Rachel, here they come back onto the front stretch once again. I'm sure all of them trying to get as good of a launch as possible.
Yeah, and that final corner is huge for getting a pass here, because it can take, with the speeds, almost all the way to the end of the lap to really get a good pass setup if the guy in front of you hasn't made a big mistake. You've got to be really close in the draft coming out of that corner, but you could really get a big launch. But it will take almost the whole length of that straight, and it feels like it's for absolutely ever running down there. But you're going to have to be brave for turn 1, because you are going to have to go for that inside line and push really hard to get in there. That's a lot of curb. Ooh, that was Mr. Glenn, I think. He's trying to mow the lawn.
It was. And just taking a look at it, Patterson spies an opportunity into turn 5. He actually gets to the inside, Michael, and he's going to carry it on.
Yeah, that was a nice attempt, not quite enough overlap, because when you make that attempt into 5, you have to remember 6 is next. You must continue it out. Now, what has to happen is you have to intimidate that driver that you just cut under at 5, and I think he just missed the opportunity for intimidation going into 6.
Stays with it, though. Could get another shot here onto the front stretch. Let's see if he's strong out of paddock. Good momentum for both of them. Glenn looking pretty solid, and he's going to get the slipstream as they already hit 140 on this narrow run down into turn 1. There's the defensive move from David. He's not like the look of it, but Patterson does not get the overlap. Will this compromise David Glenn off the corner? Rachel, looks like the answer's no.
No, I think he's going to be pretty solid for there. It's not a tough spot for him to be in, so he should be all right. But it's going to be about balancing this performance here, because in this train of cars, you really don't want to get yourself too out of shape, because there are a lot of people waiting for you to do just that.
So they stay in line for now. And look at the different lines between them. Oh, no! Too hot into the corner. David Glenn gives it up after all that great defense. And he goes all the way to the back of the line, Michael, from 4th to 9th.
It sounds like a lot, but I don't think that's going to hurt him too much. There's no actual flat spotting in the sim. Not yet. We'll see if it comes someday, but he is still close enough to be up with this train because they are going to affect themselves. And we'll watch over the next 2 laps or so, and I think you're going to see David be able to close up this gap, especially if he gets a good run right here out of 10. And when this bunch goes into turn 1 to try to get under braking, it's going to have the accordion effect all the way back. That's his opportunity to really close up. Watch as he gets in here.
Let's see how much he manages to gain as they all slow up. Does look like a little bit, not drastic. And yeah, when the day that flat spots are added, as a driver, I'll be frustrated, but as a commentator, I'm going to be elated because it's just going to add a whole nother interesting element into the sim as we hop on board with the middle part of that pack now. El Baga getting closer to Steinbrink, but not able to do much into the braking of turn 5. So they carry this on single file. Ooh, and man, he is strong there, Rachel. He almost got right to the bumper coming through 6.
Yeah, he did, and that was definitely, definitely an optimistic one, but it works. So you take advantage where you can, of course, and when it rains, make hay. Oh, is that the right way to wrap that around? I'm pretty sure I screwed that.
Makes sense to me.
Make hay while the sun shines.
That's the one. Yeah,
that's the one.
Yeah, why did I bring up rain? That seems weird. Why not? Oh, no, I know why I brought up rain. Because social media savant Cameron Obernon is in the team chat here talking about the most brutal things to put in a damage model for a racing sim, including fire, rain, and red flags and things, or flat spots. That's why we were talking about that. So, yeah, let's hope the flat spots aren't on fire in the rain. That'd be weird.
And second place just got taken by Waldron over Faulkner after he fought hard to see if he could claim that one off of him. And that lasted for about 2 corners. We need a replay of this one. Great side-by-side. Great respect between them, Michael.
Yeah, nice, good position right up onto the inside of that turn 1. Gets the power down. I think he learned something following him several times. Jake was doing a beautiful job coming off these corners earlier, but now as we watch him going around, get around the outside and just stretch it out, gets him down to the chute and owns it by turn 5.
Impressive stuff around the outside of Wagon Bend. We come back to the main straight one more time. As here the fight for second place is going to erupt once again because it's a good run from Faulkner. No, he doesn't even poke his nose out. However, all the side-by-side has meant that Patterson has joined the fray. And look at this. This is El Baga on Steinbrink. Looks like he gets the job done. Holmes thinks about maybe trying to insert himself, Rachel, but doesn't have the pace.
No, not quite. He's not really in the right position to do that. And well, he gets it in this time now. Hopefully he'll have the opportunity a little bit further along. Wagon Bend down here, one of my favorites on this track. It is such a fun one. As around the car off ahead of them. Oh, no, they're going for a trip into the woods, I think.
Oh, somebody's off the track there, trying to figure out who that is. And that was through 6, it looked like. Can't quite make it out. I'm not seeing anybody fall down the order. Oh, that's Urbesh, that's why. So he was already close to the back of the pack. And that was him trying to lap somebody else, I think, potentially. Had some contact with Richard Franco, and that's what sent him around. So Jake Faulkner, oh, here we go again. Battle for second place, maybe? No, that was a lapped car.
Third place, though. We got a battle for third happening right here. This train has caught up to that battle for second. Those guys were battling so hard that right now we got Michael Patterson sitting in 4th place, ready to jump on these guys. Had a beautiful braking entry last lap coming into turn 1 and just closed down on these guys. And then I went back and looked on my side monitor and saw this whole crew all the way back to, well, several places back. It is definitely right up in on that, probably back to 8th, I think.
Yeah, Brett Holmes at the tail of that group. And this could easily become quite the fight. As you can see, coming out of turn 7 there, Faulkner trying his best to make better distance to catch back up to Waldron and put himself farther away. We head over to Keith Morgan in the meantime in the 700 machine. This is the chase on Ambrosino just ahead of him. 5 position gains since the start. Let's see if he's got a good enough run off of the final corner here. And that's lap traffic in front of them. That's Albi Blanco, who's going to stay out of the way, but he compromises both of their exits, Rachel.
Yeah, not what you want to do, because this is going to invite the guys behind into that fight and complicate a 2-man race and turn it into only 3 or 4. It's really disadvantageous because now the attacker has to focus on that, and you're having to focus on defense as well. So everyone suddenly goes on the defensive, and it's, yeah, you always want to try and get the pass done, so you are taking advantage out of the corner, not just slowing the whole group down.
Ambrosino finding himself a lot closer to his rivals than he feels comfortable with, going defensive into turn 1. Will he do the same thing into 5 and keep it shallow down to the entry? Not quite, although he just about hovers halfway across the track. That could be his natural line. It all depends. Oh, behind them, a mistake though from Albi. No, that was Albi Blanco. That was a lapped car, excuse me, who had an issue. Although, oh, that's Patrick Gill in the background. That's Patrick Gill completely off course, and he is going to lose spots, and he's joined by Dave Stewart in sympathy, unfortunately, Michael.
Yeah, it's very easy to go off there. And as we watch this, gets a little bit too much on the exit of turn 3, shows up coming down into the chute, gets under braking. And so this is one of those odd things that happens. Oh, and it looks like there was contact there.
Yeah.
So there's a disparity between real world and sim. And it's very difficult for me with the literally tens, maybe even hundreds of thousands of laps I've done here. Turn 5 is a complete throwaway turn. You want to go through turn 4 as fast as you possibly can, and it just sets you up all the way on the left side with a compromise on the left hand for turn 3. That's the normal line. In the sim, it is not faster to do that. So a lot of these folks, if you see people when they come up and they have Riesentote region, or actually very specifically the Potomac region, that's their home track, and everybody from there knows that is the line because we've practically beat it into their heads for decades now and told them you have to run turn 4 as fast as possible and get all the way to the left to brake for turn 5. Now, like I said, in the sim, it just doesn't work that way, and you kind of do want to get back over to the middle unless you're trying to make a pass.
Well, we've had 2 more that were lost to the Twilight Zone. Jake Steinbrink and Fabio Andrade came together, wound up spinning off the track and disappeared with an automatic tow to pit lane. So a number of other drivers once again promoted up positions just by the attrition we are seeing today. And unfortunately, another bit of attrition that already erupted early on was Terrence Tong. He got a black flag for that contact that caused that initial incident into turn 5 that we saw on the replay. So he has had to come in and serve that black flag. He's back out, but he's all the way down in 38th position. Look at this fight, though, carrying on. And Faulkner, after that brief moment flirting with second place, just can't seem to get within range to reach out and battle with the 16. He's been on defense ever since, Rachel, with Michael Patterson just covering up his mirrors.
Yeah, he really has, and Patterson's been doing a fantastic job of keeping his mirrors very busy. And the more you can make the guy look in the rear view, the less speed he's going to have in the windshield. You've just got to focus on the defensive drive, but if you've got a guy just really making themselves, their presence known, it is so hard for them to concentrate, and they will eventually make a mistake.
On board with Florian here in the 33, heading down towards turn 1. Another big group of cars in and amongst this group. Poulos is going to try and stay off to the side. Thankfully, nobody really compromised too badly by that, as they all managed to get down to the apex. So who can find the advantage in here? A little bit of a look. Maybe Florian showing himself in the mirrors of Morgan there for a moment. Michael?
Yeah, it's starting to get into the point of the race with only 18 minutes left. You need to start playing head games. You need to get somebody to at least think you're faster and show them the headlights every once in a while, play in the game, and then once we get through these pit stop rotations, we'll find out who really is the fastest, because that's where everybody really starts to turn up the wick.
Yeah, one of the drivers that was fast qualifying was Sean Murphy. We saw him for a brief moment there. He is all the way down in 34th still after qualifying 4th today. Ooh, Jake Faulkner has caught back up to Waldron enough that he can actually attack this time. Waldron goes to the inside. Faulkner tries to outbrake him. We've seen this story before. Is it going to be different this time? Doesn't look like it, but now they've gotten close enough with Patterson, Rachel, that he can try to get involved. He's going to go around to the outside, but I don't think he's got this done. No,
nowhere near in time to get that in. He's just going to have to hold his position here and try and find some more later down this race. 17 minutes remaining, so we're coming towards now the end of the pit window. This is going to be where the story really unfolds, because Garrett Taylor and Waldron are both fast. Vulcan is fast as well, but the gaps here are incredible. Look at Taylor, 15 seconds. He's gone.
And these drivers all kind of hovering about where they started this race. Really the top 4 up a few positions, not drastically high. Compare that to those behind them of a great distance, like Brett Holmes and Tamer Albaga, up 10 and 12 respectively between those two. So monstrous gaps. As this is Garrett Taylor, still exactly where he started this race on the pole position. Oh, but Patterson is going to elect to pit this time, and this is actually not too shocking. Yeah, this is right about where you expect the pit window to get more active here, Michael.
Yeah, we're right at that point. They're just going to basically do a splash and dash. They don't need a lot of fuel for the rest of the race. 16 laps when we're, well, about 15 laps, because 16 minutes at about a minute 8, minute 9 per lap. And then, you know, 1 extra lap in there just so you don't run out of fuel in case somebody trips it, because watching the front, Taylor's just running away from this. I think anybody who was practicing might find they hope they have that 1 extra lap of fuel in their car.
Yeah, Taylor's 16 seconds away from Will Waldron in P2 right now. This is proven one that is basically Garrett's to lose. We're watching from Gary Reese now in 14th, chasing down Patterson, who's just finished his pit stop. And unfortunately for him, we talked about that pit strategy, Rachel. He's come out in a whole gaggle of cars.
That's the major downside at a track like Summit Point with its narrowness, is if you get the wrong pit strategy and you come out in traffic, you are in really bad straits.
So I'm not sure that this is going to work out like he thought of, but he is going to get a track clear with Volker Krebs taking that gummy bear machine down and into the pit lane, clearing the road for him just slightly. The 33. In the meantime, this is Daniel Florian. And Ambrosino, man, up to the heights of 3rd position, but he still needs a stop here, Michael. So he'll cycle back downwards pretty soon. But look how close this is getting.
Yeah, he's in a good position where he can work along with these quicker cars. Florian, not a bad driver himself. I mean, he's got his last lap actually was his fastest lap with a 109.5. And he's only about 0.3 off the tail and just enjoying that little help from the draft that he's getting every lap.
Ooh, and Poulos is one of our lapped cars. Not sure if he's holding them up or if he'll even pull off to the side here. Oh, no, it's going to be Ambrosino electing to take his pit stop this time by. Saw the chance maybe with that lap traffic. Will it allow him to make a bit of a jump, because Florian is going to carry on. And Poulos is not exactly jumping out of the way here, making Florian have to take an awkward line. This is going to be time lost for that bright red 33.
Not going to be too bad for him. He came out of that corner pretty well, and staying on line, being predictable when you're being passed, when you're the slower traffic, is an important talent to have. Too often you find people saying, oh, well, I was just trying to help you. Well, you can't do it that way. It needs to be predictable, and he stayed beautifully predictable through there and allowed both of those faster cars to come through.
Now, look at this pack that we've been watching. We're on board with Ben Loom. He's 2 places behind Will Waldron, who just pitted. And Patterson, who we're talking about, he is down in 12th. Oh, and there's a car off back there. That is going to be Gill that runs into him. That's Ken Eskridge, who was prone across the track. Thankfully, he gets it going. We're going to watch the replay, Rachel. I just caught him sideways. I didn't see what caused it, though.
No, I didn't quite catch that one myself. We'll see it here, though. Coming down towards Wagon Wheel, and is it going to be the classic? Oh, no, he got help. He got help there. Ah, someone was a little impatient.
Yeah, and I wonder if that is going to be a black flag. In fact, was that Waldron? I think that was Waldron. Yes, it was. Waldron just got a black flag for that contact, which will certainly hurt his chances for a good finish here today. And in fact, Faulkner's going to try to make the move. Not sure if he's even aware that that black flag is there. He doesn't need to fight this hard. Almost spins it, putting the wheels in the grass. And last time out on Wednesday, Michael, we saw a lot of cars throw away a good race doing that very move.
Yeah, until he knows that Waldron's gotten the black flag, and I think the notice just came up. Not necessarily certain that Faulkner knows that, even though it did come up. The in-car messaging system, it's like texting while driving, especially when you're door to door with somebody and you've been going hammer and tongs the whole race. I don't know that you want to take the time out to read that message, but I think he'll find out here shortly when Will has to peel off to go into the pits, and there he goes. Actually, he's pulling off into the pits right now.
Yep, so he's serving that. Faulkner now has clear road as Obaga has pitted, so that moves Jake into second. Yeah, I'm in complete agreement with you. I turned off the text chat in car a long time ago in iRacing just because I found I wrecked more often trying to read those than I did listening to the radio chatter.
Oh yeah, and we've actually done testing on that. Oh, a little bit too hot into turn one for David Glenn. Oh, that's just tough. And all those cars coming up the inside, I'm sure it messed up his sight through turn one. Especially when you come up there, people are used to coming up there, and we tell people, sight your line, see where it goes. And there's this whole piece of concrete that goes through there. And if another car slides right in there, well, now you've lost your sight.
Yeah, and that lost him positions too. He's all the way down to 10th. It would have been a really good finish for him if it wasn't for that mistake, most likely. Also had a similar problem with Stephen Kemp, who's dropping down the order a little farther down. Don't need to go to him, though, as we follow the battle. And Gary Reese is now coming in. He needs to take a pit stop. Wow, he went the longest of anybody and is finally getting fuel. So that will give him a lot less time to have to fill up here on this race. Looking a little bit farther in the pack, coming down into Paddock Bend. And this is the battle between Morgan Robinson, and that's a lapped car in front of him. That's Mike Knight and Rachel, so he's not involved in this.
No, not quite now, as we're on board here with Keith Morgan from 11th place, looking up towards Bruce Robinson here into 1 and 2. We'll see what line he can do through here, whether he's going to gain speed. He's gaining on that car ahead, a lap car, I believe it is, just ahead there.
Yeah, that's Knight in.
Yeah, that's Knight in, as we mentioned a minute ago, but trying to get themselves through here. This really fast-flowing kink there, carry as much speed as possible, and here it is. This is the one that Michael's been talking about. This has thrown me, Michael, to be fair, because I used to always compromise this to try and get the best line through 5, but apparently I was wrong.
Yeah, in the sim, it doesn't work that well, and it's insanely frustrating to me, being somebody who drives here fairly often, just used to making that hard run through the chute, turn 4, and compromising turn 5. It's such a slow turn, but the way the physics works in iRacing, that's the way to do it. You got to get back over to the right. So there are several tracks around that you'll find there's an iRacing way of doing it and a real life way of doing it, and you just have to be aware of the differences.
Yeah, unfortunately, it can't quite always nail it perfectly as we watch from Patterson up in front of him. This is Brett Holmes' 12 position gain from the 6th car. He is on quite the run. He might be demoted one of those, depending on if Patterson can make up for his early errors and get back into this. Certainly looks like he's got the speed. A 109.4 last lap, 109.5 for Holmes. So he does have a slight advantage here.
Yeah, and even looking at the fastest times, they are mere hundredth or so off of each other. It is really tight. So Holmes and Patterson, we could see a really good battle here. It just depends on how these guys are going to drive these cars with the tires being a bit worn down and on low fuel. We know how they did early in the race, but low fuel and not a lot of tire left on there. It should get pretty interesting here shortly.
Patterson didn't have the best of runs off of Paddock Bend, so we switched over to Ben now, who is still trying to get 14th away from Gary Reese. Both of them up 11 positions equally here, Rachel. And onto the front stretch, they are all both equally off the corner as well.
Yeah, they are, and you've got to really watch that one because it's easy to follow someone when you make a mistake. I think that may have been what happened there. Is I think he actually watched and just followed the line he was taking, and they both went off exactly the same amount. It will happen.
Volker Krebs in front of them in the 13th position, so this is really a three-way fight. And they've got 7 minutes to sort it out, which doesn't sound like a whole lot, but they do have probably in the realm of 6 laps because of that. They go by so quickly here. And down into the braking, there's the differences in lines once again, and they all accordion together, but nobody able to get the overlap in and amongst them. Other thing that I'm noticing here, Michael, is it looks like the marbles are building up quite a bit. Is that a mistake from Reese, though?
Yeah, the marbles are surprisingly effective, I guess is the right word to use, especially when you fall offline. This is such a narrow track. It's designed really as a little bit wide lane. If you notice, you see that that dash line going down the middle. Now, it's not there now because this version of the track has long been paved over several years now, but that line was often used as, okay, this is a lane and that's a lane, and here's how we're going to do things. They're just slightly wider, but this is not a wide racetrack at all.
No, it looks so super narrow. They're going to come up on Mike Knighton, who's not only been having issues keeping on the track, but also had some connection problems at certain points during this race. Let's hope this holds out some distance between Krebs and his rivals, and he's going to want to try and make this a quick pass so that he can continue to have distance, and he does get by Urbash, who is going to pull off to the side and let them through. Actually, great job by the 725 to allow them to lap there, Rachel. But he is still caught up behind Knighton, and this does look like this is checking him up slightly as we come now to Albaga.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure he's as careful as possible. Tamara Albaga, though, currently in 5th place. Can he change that? It's him and Patterson, and it's been those two for quite some time now. In the last 5 minutes here, and he's up the inside. Will he carry that speed more? Oh, it's still neck and neck. It's compromising him heavily.
Wheel to wheel into wagon wheel, and that one's going to go to Albaga. The inside usually wins out in that case. So Tamer is up to 4th position now, 14 positions gained. Holy cow, Patterson looked mighty brave on the brakes as they just went by. That was Mark O'Harris, who just spun himself out coming through turn 5. And they exit through the S's on to the back stretch. So Albaga not only has gotten by, but Michael looks like he's able to gap Patterson just a bit.
He's got about half a second on him, but don't let that fool you. It's coming out of 10 right here that we watch them really put the power down. And if we can just kind of take a look here, it looks like you're right. Albaga got a better run, although that weaving down the straight, I think the stewards might take a look at that. That is typically not allowed. And I think I saw some headlights on the side of the road there as Ben Lung went under the bridge going into turn 10. You don't normally like to see headlights pointed at you when you're going through that section.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to go back and look at it, but we can't take our eyes off of this for now, as Gary's got Ben trying to make an attack down into turn 1, and it looks like it might be a successful one. Yes, he keeps the grip coming through that shallow line, and that's going to put him into 14th position, Rachel.
Yeah, well done to that one. Unfortunately, Morgan and Reese, they've been at this thing for quite a while now, but looking a bit further back, we've still got Leon Gill and, well, behind them, Chip Witt trying to find his way around this track. Binkley and Markadakis are running together at the moment as well, and well, we're not going to be able to focus too much on Elbaga and Patterson. Those two have separated by a small amount. Last couple of guys coming off pit road, though, right now, which is congesting things just a bit ahead of those guys towards the likes of Holmes and Faulkner.
Some good fun here coming into the technical back half of the course, fighting between Binkley and Markadakis. Oh, and Faulkner's had a problem. Oh no, from second place, Faulkner spins off of turns 1 and 2, and he's trying to get the car turned around and rolling. He's actually up on the berm. He's got to be careful he doesn't damage the car. So did he do this himself? Let's look here.
That part's quite realistic. There is really a berm there, and it will roll a car over. I haven't been in the car, done it myself, but looks like he just got on the power a little bit too soon. Actually, I think he was on the power correctly, but he didn't have that wheel straight enough when he went to power, so that kind of caught him out, sent that rear end on around.
He fell all the way to 9th, but Brett Holmes now up to 2nd. Elbaga up to 3rd. 15 positions gained for the 043. But you might be seeing them coming across the start-finish line, but Taylor is already out of turn 3. It is 23 seconds. That is literally, Rachel, a third of the lap. He has just put a stomping on everyone today.
Yeah, he really has. He's put a ridiculous amount into this race, and it has shown. Garrett Taylor's been our favorite, and he's really becoming the class of this series. It's not if you can win the race or the championship, it's if you can beat him would be a huge event.
And it's only, so far, only one driver has managed that so far this season, and that was Terrence Tong last time out at Winton. Certainly not going to be able to do it this time after he had a bad start to this race. And we're 2 to go this time by as we come down to the line for Garrett Taylor. It's looking very likely to be a 3 for 4 for the 529 car.
Yeah, he's just been driving away with this one and has had very little difficulty. The cars around him, if you look through and see what the fastest lap times are, sure, he's got a 108.8, but the car chasing him, the 2 cars chasing him, Brett Holmes has a 108.9, so only a tenth slower, almost 2 tenths. It's a high 9, and then Elbaga with a 109.0. So they're very close. I think it's just been he got such a beautiful launch at the start and took off and had 0 battles until he got around to lap traffic, and lap traffic has been pretty brilliant this race. They've everybody's kind of stayed out of the way and done the right thing and been predictable. So kudos to all the people who were lap traffic, allowing the faster guys to come through without too much consternation.
Something has Ben Leung is into the pits. Oh, we got a black flag. It looks like the 290. Unfortunately, has been on the naughty list recently, so right at the very end has had to serve that. And we just got the white flag instead, the opposite here for Garrett Taylor. 1 to go, and everybody else is going to try and follow him home, but we're down to only 17 of 40 starters left on the lead lap. More than half the field has been lapped.
That's a crazy number, but it's such a short lap, it's almost not unusual, really, just to see this much kind of run through here, but with also the gap that we've seen from Garrett Taylor. That's insane. 23 seconds.
Patterson with a problem. He was starting to regain some spots, and he's now down to 8th. He had a self-spin, it looks like, out of the penultimate corner, out of turn 9. Unfortunate for that 29 driver. He's got some work to do. He's been quick, he's been savvy at times, but unfortunately, he's been mistake-prone as well. Coming down to the bridge, under it and into Paddock Bend, Garrett Taylor. What speed this season. Who can beat this man as the Kansas City region driver takes victory here in West Virginia, Michael?
Yeah, just a class drive, absolute masterclass beginning to end. After that launch, we had that nice overhead view. We watched him just take away. But let's hop on board right now with Dean Chapman. Dean is doing quite well, up 14 positions. Our top 5 are all, except for Garrett Taylor, are all up 14, 16, 15, 13 positions. So, coming in tight up onto the tail end there.
Hold on to it.
Whoa, no, 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 get back in it. Come on, get on the track. Oh, and he loses a position, I believe. No, that was a lap car. He's going to hold that position as we got Ambrosio coming in, trying to close in on the finish. Jazz beats him.
Oh, it was 0.2 of a second at the line. Man, if he was just a little better around the lap. Oh, no, man. Paddock Bend has become Calamity Corner here on the last lap. That's Marco Harris, and it looks like Patrick Gill who make contact, and it is going to be Gill who winds up losing position. Mark was a lap down. So what happened there? He just got into the back of Mark because Mark was slowing up for Volker Krebs, who was going slow in front of him. That was strange. Was Volker Krebs shy on fuel or something here?
May have been shy on fuel. That's a really slow entry. I'm not exactly sure why he would be going that slow there. Turn 10 is a very fast turn. Every time I look down in a street car, usually with some good tires, the exit of 10 is generally around 90 to 95 miles per hour. But you get something with downforce, it'll be a good bit faster. And these have downforce. He should have been able to go through there at a pretty good clip. So maybe he was low on fuel. Hard to say.
Well, regardless, as we mentioned, Garrett Taylor just defeating everybody today with a 23-second lead over Brett Holmes, who was best of the rest in second. Tamer Albaga was P3, with Daniel Florian doing even better than both of them, going from 20th to 4th, 16th place gain, but unfortunately off the podium. Dean Chapman was 5th, and Aaron Ambrosino in P6. And it was Michael Patterson 7th, as David Glenn was P8. Jake Faulkner was 9th today, and Michael, it was Joachim Baker, who actually came back and managed to top 10 after all of that action.
That was quite the run up there that he did, but Volker Krebs that we saw there at the end in the Haribo car, my favorite car out there, is in 11th. Chip Witt in 12th. Gary Rice 13th. Bruce Robinson, Stephen Kemp, George Markadakis in 16th. Patrick Gill 17th, and then one lap down in 18th, 19th, and 20th will be Donald Binkley, Kevin Hammond, and Will Waldron with that unfortunate black flag.
Behind them, it is Jake Steinbrink, Dave Stewart, Kevin Douglas, Trey Davis, and Chris Duffy in 25th, with Sean Murphy, Ben Young, Albie Blanco, Mike Knighton, and Terrence Tong in 30th.
31st went to Peter Rota and the 96 car. Ken Eskridge in 32nd, and Mark Harris 33rd. 3 laps down was Vidal Urbesh, having some troubles today in the 725, finished 34th. We've got Keith Morgan with a DNF. Poulos made it to the finish, but 4 laps down in 36. Hilt, Andrade Franco, and Nations did not see the checkered flag today. But Garrett Taylor absolutely did. He collected the checkered flag today. And Garrett, what is the trick to this track? Because a 23-second gap at a track where there is only just over a minute lap time, that's pretty impressive.
That middle section is key. I mean, if you can be consistent and really ace it, you can lay down some fast lap times. And I was in the zone there for a bit. Towards the end of the race, I kind of got out of it and didn't keep pulling away, but I felt good tonight. So,
well, I'd say you had a decent buffer, so you didn't necessarily need to. But talk to us about watching the first 2 races. This is such a short and narrow track, and with the huge fields we've been seeing in Club, I have to imagine it's a little bit nerve-wracking. Did you manage to watch the Challenge in Sport and take any notes from them?
I did. I was nervous about traffic. I wanted to qualify first. I knew if I could start at the front, then I had a good chance to just control my own race. But I was nervous about traffic because there's, like you said, there's a lot of cars and it's not big. So,
well, next one out is going to be a lot bigger. It's Suzuka, very, very technical track. Do you see yourself running well there?
I hope so. I've never competed there, so I've got some work to do between today and next Friday.
All right. Well, best of luck. And anybody you want to shout out to before you head out?
Yeah, my wife, just like normal, she's taking care of the kids. So,
all right, very simple there from the 529. Garrett Taylor taking victory as Michael has caught up with Brett Holmes here today, our second place finisher.
So, Brett, nice run. You came up 13 positions. Now, I normally ask somebody if that was part of their plan, but I can't imagine you were sitting there going, yeah, I'm just going to roll the dice. I'll make up 13 positions. How did that come about for you, though? There had to be some amazing luck that happened through that.
Oh, God, the whole thing was luck. I wish I could say it was skill, but not here and not at this track. So just a lot of people kind of getting rough out there and cold tires early. So it was just a matter of managing tires for me for the race and just not putting myself in too much danger. And I can't believe how it worked out. I'm surprised to be here, but happy to be here.
Well, seeing as you're in the Las Vegas region and the way this race kind of fell in your lap, any thought of heading over to the Strip and trying your luck somewhere else?
Heck yeah. I think a few bets are in my future just to keep the good luck going.
So really nice race beginning to end. You just kept your nose clean the whole time, which is really important at this track. I can tell you from a lot of experience, but it also helps to have people who help get you there. So who do you have to thank for this second place today?
Well, for the most part, the support of my family. My wife puts up with my crazy sim racing habits, and so I always appreciate that. And then our local club is real supportive of us. And then the Wild West Zone, I'm a participant a lot there with stuff, so they're very supportive. So couldn't do without them, and just glad to have a great result tonight.
Well, thanks for being here, Brett. That was Brett Holmes, our P2 in today's race. And I believe Rachel is going to have El Baga for a little bit of a chat now.
I am indeed. It's the recent Dota Regions 043 of Tama El Baga. Tama, a very busy race today for you, especially with the likes of Michael Patterson. Tell me about it.
Oh, man. This just, when I started P18, I thought, this is damage limitation as much as possible. Just sit behind the pack and wait it out. It was definitely action-packed. I have no idea how I landed where I landed, but I guess driving safely around Summit Point with fast cars seems to do the trick, I guess.
You know what? Sometimes that's all it takes. What is the trick to this track for you?
It's honestly, I feel like you have to be, it's very technical. So you have to be on everywhere. And when you're not, you lose a lot of time. But I think it's fast laps and racing are quite different, I think, on this track. So, the technical sections where you get a lot of time, if you're trying to put a quali lap, is quite different than just sort of taking that technical section a little bit more safely in the race. And that's basically, for me, during race was the important part, taking, the 5 through 8, as comfortably and as safely as possible with as little lockup as possible to save the tires.
Oh, fair enough. Seems like some sound advice. Well, thank you for joining us. And what are your thoughts coming up next week before we let you go?
We'll just keep trying to do the same thing, but hopefully not having to do it from P18. That's it. Have a little fun.
That seems like sound advice. Anybody like to thank before we let you go?
I mean, you guys week in, week out do a great job, so thank you. And again, my family for letting me hang out in the doldrums and have a little fun with this every week.
Well, thanks for joining us. Tama El Baga coming home in 3rd place.
Thank you.
That's going to take us to a quick break, but the racing is not over. It's now time for the big boys. We go to the pro class here in just a moment for the PCA Sim Racing Series 8.
Hollander's gonna come back at him. It's gonna be a race to the line. going? Does he have enough?
Welcome back to Summit Point, and we now watch the pro class here in the PCA Sim Racing Series 8. And Chris Pye's, not a big surprise here, is on the provisional pole. However, he and Rafael Amorim, two rivals for quite a while in this class, are only 800ths apart from one another. Kaholik, though, and the number 18, now that is a name that I don't think we've seen yet, is currently sitting in third and keeping it tight in amongst them. And in fact, it's only 7 thousandths down to fourth with Cyphers. So, boy, this is going to be an interesting one, especially, Michael, if they manage to keep it a little bit cleaner than the front of the pack did in the last race. If they're that close on pace, my goodness, it's going to be tough to try and get position.
On this track, if you're going to pass someone, either they need to make a mistake or you need to be probably 4/10ths a lap faster, at least on that lap. So it's going to be a real challenge, and you're going to have to see a mistake from Rafael, a mistake from Chris. And honestly, those guys, mistakes are not part of their playbook. So it's going to be interesting to see how they go. I'm looking forward to see further back somebody like Nicky Chan or Rich Minkler, somebody like that, who's in that mid pack, but still fairly close, still got these lap times under a minute 9. And I think everybody pretty much is a minute 8 when you get all the way back even to 16, 17, 18. You only see a minute 9 when you get to P19. So this is going to be a really, really tight race because it is so close through that whole field.
Well, unfortunately, speaking of the back of the pack, Rachel, I'm looking down, and the 0-2-0, Travis Brody, a 5th place last round at Winton, he's starting from 28th currently. Oh, my goodness. And we were just hearing Michael talk about how tight the field is on lap times. He's going to have a long day here.
It's going to be a slow day for Brody, unfortunately. He is not looking fantastic at that time. We expected more from him, to be honest. But again, let's just we talked about the bracket there, as I'm stuttering my way through words. 1 minute 8.257, 1 minute 9. Let's call it 3. 29th place. We had 17 cars in that second last time. It's 29 now. So he's still only just about a second away. In fact, he's under a second away, but he's still 28. This field is so competitive. You blink and you will miss it.
We understand he may have had some troubles trying to get a lap that was clean, and maybe that's what cost him, and he just had to get some sort of banker in. Before we go to the grid itself, though, we want to remind you that PCA Sim Racing social media offers in-race reports, breaking news, and announcements through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. To subscribe, key in the platform name and add /PCA Sim Racing. And it's not just during the races themselves. Definitely keep an eye on those between the races, all kinds of fun stuff that they like to post on social media. Meanwhile, as we mentioned, Chris Pies on the pole today with Rafael Amorim starting to his outside. Let's see who can come out the winner here today. Can Amorim tie him on wins in round 4? It's Michael Koholich in 3rd, followed by Cyphers in 4th, and Banjapaje starts from P5. Eisenring will be 6th. It'll be Matthew Siddall in 7th position, followed by Gabriel Albano in 8th. James Huth starts from 9th, and Michael will be Lyle Eddy in the 10th position.
Looking in 11th, it's Derwin Kosniak, followed by Rich Minkler. Nikki Chan and Jean-Paul Leno bring out the next row. 15th is Leif Peterson with Rick Reinsberg. Sorry, that was a mouthful for me there. In 16th, Joe Stiefel and John Malia, Rodney Campbell, and Jonathan Waltman in 20th.
21st night is Treasure Horn, with 22nd being Dewey Kang, Robert Rose 23rd, Chris Hunt 24th, Mario Gonzalez in 25th, Argon Grau in the 26th spot, Stephen Chen 27th, Travis Brody, like we mentioned, back in 28th, Cameron DeGroff in 29th, and J.R. Gregory, unusual, in 30th. 31st is Daniel Rubel, Charles Yao 32nd, Jeremy Mazariello 33rd, Robert Cottle 34th, and Christian Rava, last but not least, in 35th.
And there is your pro field, but they now grid up, and we'll see how quickly they get ready to go. Like we saw for the club class, who almost immediately sent just about everybody out there, and does look like they are not taking much time to get ready to roll on this one. We thankfully had at least a clean first corner for most of our drivers, but it was into wagon wheel where it started to unfold for a couple. And in fact, a few drivers are making their first ever PCA start, and that's in the pro class. You do not do that easily. Look out for Koholich, Hunters, Cyphers, DeGroff, and Gonzalez here today, who are coming in maybe a little bit inexperienced, at least in this group, but certainly with some chops for them to be promoted this quickly into the pro class. And just about have everybody in. Sadal, Minkler, and Yao are last amongst them that need to grid up here. So Sadal is starting up towards the front of the field. You can see the open gap there that he needs to fill up before we get the green flag. And he is now on the grid, so it is all down to the 32nd place, number 17 of Charles Yao, to unleash us. He gets about 2 minutes before they actually just leave him behind. He can start from pit lane and still start this race, but you are not allowed to just wait forever to hold everybody up. And he might not be able to grid up here because we're hearing that he did lose connection to the server, just reconnected. So that means here in these final 10 seconds, unless he can really hustle it up and get out there, he is going to have to start from pit lane. And that looks to be the case as the counter now hits 0. And we'll start to hear the engines rev for the final class of the week here at Summit Point. It's the pro drivers, and the green flag is out. Chris Pies looks pretty decent off the line. Amorim is under a bit of threat as Michael in the 18 is starting to find a little bit of grip. Somebody's off into the grass in the background there. Thankfully does not cause a spin, but look at how deep he takes it as Amorim is going to try to go from third to the lead. Somebody is spun behind him. I think that's Cyphers with a poor run through the first corner, and it's still going to carry on down into turn 3, wheel to wheel. Could this be important to the win? Who can get the track position at this stage? And it's going to be Pies, but it's not done yet here, Rachel, as Koholich is going to try and fight coming down into the chute.
Yeah, he really is. A really huge run from these guys. He's going to put that car in position to make something happen here, but it's not going to be coming just yet. try and find out what happened on turn 1 in a minute, but that was crazy.
Oh, we'll try and go back to that. Oh, unfortunately, did not go as planned for the first time for Koholik. Meanwhile, or excuse me, that was somebody else amongst our first starters. I think it was Cyphers actually involved in that one. But coming down into Paddock Bend, Amram's not giving up on this, Michael. That was a good run into the corner. Doesn't look good off. And here comes Michael in the 18 at him again.
Yeah, nice run out of turn 10 there from Raphael, trying to hold up the outside, get back around the outside as Chris tries to slide over just a little bit, asserting a little bit of dominance there. Gets a brilliant run, or Chris gets a brilliant run out of there, but watch Amarim right here closing it back up. His exit out of 2 seems to be very strong. Chris still struggling for some grip there. As we watch the tail on Pites' car just kind of wiggle around a bit, he's right on the edge of traction.
What a complete reversal from last round where the leader just ran away with things. The fight is very much on here. We watch from second place Amarim, who is hungry to take his second victory of the season. And it looks like Michael Koholik has fallen off a little bit through this stage. That could be a threat from Banjo Page behind. Rachel, I've seen you fiddling with the rewind button. Do you have an update on Cyphers?
Yeah, I do. Cypher's incident, which has put him really far back. In fact, he is second to last right now, was in that first corner. He had contact. Just trying to find exactly when that was again, but I will let you know now. It was actually as he came into the outside, he was alongside the 770 of Bandia Party. And looking at the way this actually occurred, he turned in.
Oh, and off goes Siddall. We saw in the background, he spun himself trying to avoid running into somebody in front of him, outbraked himself, and on screen you also saw Amarim go wide coming through the final corner. There is the 31, and has to wait for the entire field to go by before he gets a clearing to return to the track. So now it is the 18 into second place after you were talking about it. I think it was either you or Rachel, Michael. It is all about mistakes today and capitalizing on them.
Yeah, just finding that spot where maybe you are a little bit quicker and the person you're chasing tries something a little bit different that doesn't work, and you can just slide through there. But I gotta say, Koholik has made a really nice start. I think the qualifying position wasn't really indicative of the race pace of this car. However, while it does seem like a 34-way run for first place because everyone is so tight, it looks like Chris is trying to take off here. Again, no attempt at a curse from the commentator side here, but Chris is trying to pull what we saw in the last race and really trying to open this up here and doing a nice job of it.
Ooh, Kostanek getting awful close to the back of Minkler for a brief moment, and thankfully they come off without touching through 1 and 2. Down into Wagon Wheel here. That's also Eddie in the 79, the orange machine just in front of them. So a big run now coming from Travis Brody on his charge through the fields. He gets another one. It's actually only 3 positions, though. Expected a bit more of them here in the early stages, but that just shows you, Rachel, how hard it is to pass today.
Yeah, we said this all race long. We said it all week long. It's definitely hard to pass here, but you can if you are much faster or if they make a mistake. The mistake has always been king at some point. People make a lot of them. And these guys are already running around here trying to give everything they've got. And I think the biggest thing playing into their heads here, Michael, is whilst in real life this is not should we call it a mainstream circuit that's on all the racing calendars, so it's more of a niche. However, in the sim racing world, it's a default track. Everyone has it. Everyone knows it's backwards, so they're going to think they're better here than they are.
Oh yeah, no doubt. This is a one of those tracks that everyone races on when they get onto iRacing. They know this. As we go on board with Stephen Chen here, taking a look as he's going down into turn 1. This track, everybody knows. It was in real life back in when it first got built in the late 60s, early 70s. Can-Am raced here. Everybody raced here. This was one of the destination tracks that you really wanted to do because it's in the beautiful West Virginia countryside. But nowadays, it's not.
Still here?
I don't know if ALMS came here or not. Can-Am.
IMSA.
One of the many names of the different things, and I'm pretty sure IMSA was here. I know I've tested IMSA cars here as well as SRO cars here, but it's a fantastic test facility too, I gotta say.
Yeah, the actual Audi GTO that you can race here in iRacing raced here in '89 and won at this track. So yeah, the IMSA GTO class, which were beastly cars, raced on this tiny little course. And I can't imagine how frightening that must have been. But right now, Michael Koholik is trying to frighten Christopher Pies out of the lead as we come back to ninth, and a whole train of cars here. This is Minkler, who is, I think, at the back of this group. Towards the back of it, it looks like it's Kosnak at the back of this group. Minkler's sitting in ninth. You've got Huth, Albano, all in front of him, flying down the chute and into turn 5 once again.
Yeah, looks like Gabriel Albano trying to hold on to his position. Let's go back up here, though, to Rafael Amarim. He is not letting this go. Michael in front of him passed him, and that was like on lap 2, but he's not able to open it up. And it's really interesting. They've started to close down on Chris Pites. Chris is trying to stay out front as best he can, but actually fastest lap right now, I believe that's going to be Amarim.
Yeah, a 108.2. It's quite a bit faster than Pies, and he's certainly used it to great effect. He's gotten here, but now he's got to try and overtake them as they break into turn 1. Once again, I gotta say, though, I am massively impressed by the 18, Rachel. To know that this is his first time ever in PCA to show up, and to do it in the Pro Class, and to be racing not just for a podium, but possibly a win. Watch out for this guy.
Absolutely. The 18 is putting on an absolutely massive show. And how do I pronounce that name? Kosholik?
I've been saying Koholik. We've been waiting for the peanut gallery to correct us, but I haven't heard anything yet, so I'm gonna run with that.
Well, Koholik's been doing a fantastic job. This is an impressive first start, and it's putting his name on the map here because he is definitely keeping Chris Pies honest, and he's drawing the field with him and showing him it can be done. Amarim behind him. People talking about big names still behind him. This guy's gonna make people wonder what's going on here.
Well, drawing a bead on Campbell is Draw Horn, and Trey was very close to the S's, but falls off a little bit now. This is the battle for 17th, and again, another big group. Oh, back up to the lead once again. Wow, less than a car length between them into the braking this time, and I think Michael is starting to think that he's got a good shot, maybe having an attack soon, the way that he has been encroaching on that rear bumper.
Yeah, he's putting that left front. Chris gets a little bit too much dirt out of the exit of turn 3 there, and that may be due to the pressure. I was just saying, when Michael came up on him, he just let that left front light shine in that left side view mirror and show a little bit of, hey, I might be faster. But look at that red car behind. A little bit better line coming through 6 and 7, coming up here, turning into 8, rolling up through 9, has the power down, closing up. Rafael Amarim, I'm not counting him out for the top spot of the podium in this race.
Same. And just an update, don't need to go there, but the 987 of Jean-Paul Leno had a self-spin in turn 3. Found the wall, probably some damage, but we'll keep an eye and see if he enters into pit lane. As they fly down into turn 1 yet again, and Pies this time a little bit safer from Koholik, as Amarim is chasing. Ever since losing that position, has not been able to get it back from Michael. Has to settle for this 3rd place. Could he be waiting potentially for the pit stops to do something?
Well, I'm wondering here also. Sorry, Rachel. I'm wondering here also. We see every time we go onto this little group, that green car right there, that's Banjapaji. And right behind him, Eisenring. They're within striking distance. It's almost like they're sitting back waiting for these guys to make a mistake. So Eisenring sitting right there, just close enough to be in the draft of Banjapaji. Banjapaji close enough to be in the draft of Amarim. Now, if he's gonna sit there and let Amarim, Koholik, and Pites just fight it out, duke it out, they're in the catbird seat. So those are potential podium positions right there.
Back onto the front stretch. Ooh, this is a very good run from Koholik. He's going to start closing down with a slipstream. Question is, does he want to try and take it? Because I don't think he's going to be side by side. He's going to look, but no, just trying to once again get into the head of the 14. And they're all going to sit and stay put in line. And we head back to Joe. with the now iconic Tiger on the front of his car. In P12, the 003, chasing a whole bunch of them. Nicky Chan, Kosnak, and Minkler in front of him. Rachel?
Yeah, going for this thing, and we've got a really good scrap going on here with these cars. 11th place, Nicky Chan, the Upper Canada region driver there, pushing real hard here. And I love this view here, running through Summit Point. It is so fast, it's so twisty, it's so tight. It's like the Death Star Canyon run. And Nicky Chan right now, that's the viewpoint of Darth Vader's tie as they look towards the X-Wings ahead. Look at this, it's just an absolute dogfight, back and forth, left and right. There is something beautiful about a really technical twisty track.
You had a whole race with a stormtrooper in somebody's room, and you didn't bring out the Death Star right there as we go to Drawhorn once again. And he's still threatening on Campbell. Hasn't been able to overtake onto the front stretch. Looked like a good exit for the 62 up ahead, just kicking up a tiny little bit of dirt as they come off the corner. You can take so much of that exit right up to the edge, and that actually helped him to stay safe, Michael, this time in 15th.
Yeah, just hanging back there. No real threat at this point. Drawhorn's about 3/10 off Campbell. Kang behind him about 6/10. So not quite close enough to do anything, but coming up to James Huth right here in P7. James is trying to get on the tail of Albano. Now, Albano is another one of those drivers that we've seen from time to time who's just got a good general flow, understands the flow of a track, drops the car into the right position, and just mashes the gas at the right point. We're used to seeing him up towards the front, so this is exactly where you'd expect him to see. But coming back onto the lead, this could be a pass here, depending on how well they come out of here. The final corner, that is turn 10, coming past start finish. I just don't think he's got quite the draft unless he tries to make a bold move at this point. Not really advisable. Getting the headlights out there, making his position known. Oh, and he sends Chris Pites wide.
Actually managed to psych him out this time. Pies gives up the lead, and Koholik, in his very first race ever for PCA, is now leading the way with 26 minutes left to go. Amram had to have been watching that thinking, okay, if one driver can do it, Rachel, surely I can try to make Chris crack.
Ooh, maybe he can as well, but Koholik is out front here. Wait, did we hear that right? Someone psyched out Chris Pies?
I know.
What?
Yeah, I was going to comment earlier when you said getting in his head, and I'm like, I've raced Chris. You can't get in Chris's head. Well, I stand corrected.
All right. Well, you need to be taking notes then, Michael, figuring out what you got to do next time. And Amarim is going to try and get a good exit. He does get a pretty good one here. I don't think he's quite close enough. Pies is certainly not closing on Michael there. He's going to go slightly the defensive down into turn 1, then back to the racing line. No such dramas this time into the first corner. And that didn't lose them too much as well. Banjapaje has not seemed to gain on them. He's still about a second and a half back. So, Rachel, we run as is, but man, what a development.
Oh, huge development. It really changes how this whole thing goes. And it's going to really change how Pies is fighting here because he wants to get back in front. Is he going to be focusing on attack for Koholik or defending against Amarim?
We'll find out. There's only 25 more minutes in this race. Somebody's got to be in the lead at the checkered flag. And it's looking like it might be one of these three. I'm sure Banjapaje would certainly like them to fight just that little bit more and give him a shot at things. What about Kosnak? Just within the top 10, up a single position since the start of the race, but a whole bunch of them in front that could offer up more. Minkler, Eddie, Huth, Albano just in front of him. Onto the main straight. Who gets the better exit off of the corner? Looks like Eddie actually very, very good coming down the front stretch in that orange 79 machine just in front. He's in the middle of this group of 5. And under braking, though, he runs out of straightaway, so no attack this time, Michael.
Yeah, it's interesting watching this. We've got Albano in the orange car, and then we've got Eddie in the orange car. And every time I go to watch this little pack on the side, I have to look closely to see which one happened, which one's doing which, because I keep confusing the two. But Rich Minkler here on board, using that little bit of overrun on the left side, going into turn 4 through the chute, holding that left side. See, these guys are using the real life line, which I find very interesting. I have never been able to make the real life line work in iRacing here. So these guys using it effectively here, that's really good. I think I need to take a few notes on how they're making it work out.
And can we get a replay of about 40 or 50 seconds ago on board Chris Pies? Because Michael in the 18 actually made his own mistake down into turn 5. Let's see if we can spot this. Yeah, so this will be going into turn 5 here. Watch the left front tire. Big lockup. And that allowed Pies to get pretty close, but not able to actually pass. So we're seeing a bit of back and forth here, Michael, of drivers really managing to put the pressure on.
Putting the pressure on here. Now, you see Michael, gets that little bit of a light on that front left tire doing the iRacing version of the line. Now, Chris was either trying to set up for the pass or was taking that real life line and just making it work. This has helped them close up. Now, this is the point where I can tell you from experience, Chris Pites knows how to get in your head. So just because Koholich has gotten around him, it's no time to rest as we're on board here with Chris Pites going through turn 9, heading up underneath the bridge. Looks like we got a little bit of lap traffic up here trying to peel off. Good. Peels off into the pits. Now the run out of 10. This is where Koholich has had a little bit better time getting away from Pites, but Pites is holding on beautifully now. Looks like they're trying to drop Amarim.
Yeah, it's up to almost 0.4 of a second that time before they get to the braking. That was Stephen Chen who pulled off to the side and decided now's a good time to take his scheduled pit stop. At least I'm pretty certain. And there's another little mistake and another little puff of smoke as the two orange cars are going to battle, and Albano is going to be able to hold on to the position over Eddie. Almost called them orange cones. I'm so used to talking about those in commentary. And wow, things getting a little bit intense for the battle for 7th.
Yeah, really are here. It's definitely heating up. And the orange cars, I love it when they're almost identical. I see the point here. It's so hard to tell apart. Guys, if you're going to fight this hard, at least make your cars look different. It's like, it's the cups and ball trick, you know? When we have the 3 cups and you have the one little tennis ball underneath that, you put it in there.
Oh, yeah.
Just move them all around, yeah.
Exactly,
yeah.
yes.
The bar trick, the bar game. Yeah, it's that, but with cars.
But watch Albano there.
But we're on 2nd place, actually. Amarim's got a good run on Pies. Will he lose 2nd even? Amarim seems to think so. He's going to try it. He'll almost get to the inside. Doesn't shut the door. He's going to leave the lane open. And could he actually get fully through? Yes, he's got it. Amarim to P2.
Wow, nice move from Amarim. And I said Albano, I meant Amarim. One of those A names, but really nice move up there. That was planned easily 3 laps ago. He was just trying to tick away. And we noticed he was a little bit farther back 2 laps ago. I think that was completely intentional. But look at this. Like I said, Chris Pites not taking this lightly. He is going to absolutely hound on Rafael right now. And that might let Koholich get away. If they're smart, though, I think they're going to try to kind of hold this position, hold where they are, and just try to not let him get away too far and do maybe a little trickery in the pit stop rotation.
Now, the unfortunate thing with that is that I'm looking back through the field. I don't see many big gaps in there. There's a couple, but they're small. He'd have to time it to perfection. I hope he has someone on the box to help him as he gets a good run, but he's not going to try for it here into turn 1. So, Rachel, I'm not sure that they're going to get opportunities to try and get fancy with each other like we saw before.
Yeah, I think pit lane's going to be the time for this one. We're at the halfway point. We're in that window. Now is the time to try and make that time on pit road, because you can make a pass there. It's much easier than doing it on the racetrack.
Question is, who's going to find the open racetrack to do it by coming in a little bit early? Maybe just 1 lap difference will do it. Maybe they can catch most of them. Most of the drivers having pitted by that stage. We still have only seen 1, I believe, that have made a scheduled stop, Mazzariello, in the 25. Everybody else is still rolling here at this halfway mark, and we get a little bit of battling down through 6 and into 7. Eddie under threat from Kosnak. Easier to tell these two apart, thankfully.
Yes, it is. But if Eddie and Albano switch places, which doesn't look like it, looks like Albano's trying to check out from that. He may be listening in, and he took Rachel's advice and decided not to race so close with Eddie. And Kostniak's helping out with that, putting a good bit of pressure on Eddie. So let's see how that one plays out. This is going to be an exciting race to watch back in the mid-pack.
That was Chen on the inside yet again that was in a bit of an awkward position. Thankfully, no wrecks in and amongst there. And behind them, that's a battle for position. Joe Stifle with Nicky Chan. Nicky Chan's going to be able to rebuff him in the purple machine and hold on to that 11th position. Oh, Joe's getting a little ambitious down into turn 3. And Rachel, thankfully, we did not see a wreck out of that one.
Yeah, thankfully not, but there's a lot that can still happen, of course, with 18 minutes of green flag racing on the card. As these guys are all starting to think about pit road, which means their minds are slightly off the track. They're thinking about their timing, thinking about when they're going to come in. So the rhythm is very much strong here. These guys are thinking about that opportunity. And we could see some miscommunication coming towards pit road, but it's also going to be the cold tire difference, or well, it's only fuel only, I should say. But we're going to see that difference in positioning and who will end up in much heavier traffic.
Ooh, good fight here, a little farther down in the field. This is between Rodney Campbell and Trey Drawhorn. Well, that's going to make it a little bit less of a fight as Campbell's going to come in. Looks like he's going to be joined by Dewey Kang as well. These look to be scheduled stops, and Chen was right in front of them. He pits another time. I'm going to say that's about the third time that Chen has come into pit lane. Oh, and Amorim's off. Amorim. Oh, no.
That brings Bandipaje up into third position, and Eisenring, remember what I was saying, catbird seat, just wait for them to make a mistake. That brings Eisenring into fourth, Bandipaje into third, Chris Pites back to second place.
So, gonna guess that this was his own doing here. Did he touch the grass? What happened? No, it just almost looked like he just went wide. He got unsighted or something.
Turn 3, that's easy to do. You're trying to watch for something and where his position was as he came through there. If we do get another chance for a there's too much going on here maybe to get another replay, but if we got a replay on board, you'd be able to see what his line of sight was through there and understand why it's so difficult. Turn 3 is a real challenge as we watch that pack of our orange pair trying to head down the front straight now.
Kostniak and the blue and white machine. Whoa, going to the inside, and they come together. Is it going to make contact again? No, thankfully there's a gap. He's going to slide to a halt down in the gravel. Eddie is able to continue on. As we come back, we are gonna get another look. This is his view.
So watch as he comes up in there. Oh, interesting. So that looked like a little bit of a checkup. I think Michael got a little bit too deep into that, had to go harder into the brake, and the way he was pointing into that corner, Raphael had to go for the dirt. That was his only option. Otherwise, it was just going to be mangled Porsches.
Yeah, and Amorim, from that one mistake, everything is so close. He fell from second down to fifth. And he's actually a bit by his lonesome now as we come back to more battles. This one to Minkler. And on Eddie, he thinks this is as good a time as any to try and jump him in the pit stop. So down he comes the lane. Rodney Campbell is the highest driver to have pitted right now. He's in 23rd. Back to Drawhorn, who we saw get freed up after a few drivers around him took a pit stop. That's Nicky Chan in front of him. However, Nicky Chan was given a black flag, and he still got it. Now, I have no idea what he got the black flag for.
There was a pass attempt, and looked like it was just a little bit of contact in there. So that happens.
He's got to serve it soon, though, because I remember seeing that message within a couple minutes ago. With the 1 minute and 9 seconds a lap, surely he's close to being DQ'd if he doesn't come in.
Yeah, he is. He's going to have to find an opportunity to go down pit road here because the race control are not going to be too lenient about this.
Yeah, well, and yes, I can see now, last 2 laps did not count for him, so this is the last chance that he's got. If he doesn't come in this time by, he'll be DQ'd, and that is automatic. That is the iRacing sim that will do that to him. If you don't serve a black flag, You get 3 chances. Now he's in. Okay. I was going to say, Nicky's been around a while. He knows better than to try and push the issue on this one as we come back to Pies. Re-inherits second place, and much to his joy, I'm sure, he is well away from the next car behind. So he can focus forward now, Rachel, and see if he can try and challenge the 18 to get that spot back.
Yeah, he's going to have to see what he can try and do here, but the 18 is in a really strong spot, and Pies is going to give this everything he's got now, because for the first time in this race, and in a while, he's on the back foot, and this is a different Chris Pies to what we've seen before.
Yeah, we were asking who can beat some of the more dominant forces in the club and pro classes here in the PCA. I think we're getting our answer. I think Michael Koholik looks like the man who is going to try and take the challenge to Chris Pies. And Pies is going to try and use an earlier stop. He pits in as Michael stays out. Let's see what kind of pit time he gets, Michael.
Yeah, smart move from Chris as well, because Chris was actually faster on his last lap by about 0.2. So he was closing that gap. It was a little over a second, but we're watching Koholik right here trying to get through turn 1 and 2. Good positioning, decent positioning. I generally like to get a little bit farther out there, closer to that access road, but watch him as he goes through 3. This is where we watched he had some trouble earlier. Nails that apex. Good exit coming up into the chute as he drops the right wheel just right over there, and he's doing again that. Well, actually, that was a little closer to the racing line that iRacing prefers as opposed to the real life racing line. So he's kind of splitting the difference, going through the carousel now, trying to get the car set up on the right side. Now you put the power down a little bit too far left for my taste. But again, this is iRacing and things work a little bit differently through there. That curbing you see on the left side actually extends a little bit farther, but beautiful positioning. Looks like he's going to make a dive into the pits, gets on the brakes pretty hard. Nice entry to the pits. Look how much he closed up on that lap car in front of him.
Looked like he touched the grass a little bit going in because the way the car squirmed. And it was 9 seconds, the stop for Pies in his stall. He's back out in pretty clear air. He's got Peterson in front of him, and Peterson's actually going to pit now. Koholik is finished. It was 9 seconds exactly, both of them dead on. So will this be enough for Christopher Pies? Koholik is back out and rolling. It doesn't look like it. He is way too far up the road, Rachel, so track position stays in the hands of the 18. Oh, but he's got a little bit of problem there with Reinsberg, who has not stopped yet.
Yeah, Reinsberg hasn't stopped, so that will cycle out, of course, and put us in an interesting position. But right now, he's splitting the difference, which is definitely going to be helping Chris Pies.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of an obstacle now, and Reinsberg does not have to give that one up as we come back down to Banjo Page, who's also stopped. And hey, Travis Brody, he's all the way up to 5th, but he hasn't stopped yet. So this is not a legitimate 5th. He hasn't been sneaking through this whole time, but he has been gaining a few positions here and there. I'm just not sure how high he was before the pit stops started to come into effect. I'm pretty sure he's going to be in this time, Michael, and that'll finally give us an accurate view of where he should be sitting.
But it looks good to say, hey, I was up 23 positions. I never mind saying that, but we're on board with Rodney Campbell right now in P15. Got a little bit of a train here from 15th up to 12th. As we're on board.
Oh no, Brody missed his pit stall. He wasn't used to being gridded up so far back in the field, because that determines your pit stall. He pulled in and actually had to back up about 2 or 3 stalls just to get to it. It is going to be massively long. The 020 is having a miserable day.
Ooh, tough for him. We love seeing him. He's got great camera angles on him so we can watch him drive. Just unfortunate, but I've been there. I'm not to brag, but yes, I'm used to being in one of the front pit stalls. But I've been in some of those really high rank races, and you're close to the back, and yeah, it's easy to overrun.
So Brody came back out in 18th for what it's worth as we're watching the battle for 4th. Amarim managed to get by Eisenring in the pit stops, it looks like. I'm not sure if he passed him on track or if he jumped him. Yeah, it looks like he just passed him is what we're hearing. So that puts him into 4th with about 3 seconds to make up to Banjo Page. And, oh, was there a mistake? Because he's a long ways back here.
Yep. Got a little bit hot in there, it looks like. Tried to light up those wheels.
Well, smoked him, and that sends him down to P5. He's going to be kicking himself on that one because could have definitely tried to fight for that position here in these final 10 minutes and get even better than just simply a top 5. Meanwhile, coming back down into the first corner once again, a little bit of a look here from Peterson on Malia. Malia is going to hang around the outside. Oh, but he spins it and comes across the track. All three of them make contact. Oh, no. That is going to be Campbell. It looks like Peterson went off, and oh, man.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a self-spin black flag on that one, most likely. So we watch him coming up here into turn 1, got up a little bit too hot on the inside, and that could have been initial contact. It was hard to see from the camera angle, but also on that outside, there's a lot of marbles out there. But let's take a look at Chris Pites here. What's Chris doing? Chris is trying to close this up. He's at about 1.1 seconds. He has been closing it up. When I last checked, it was about 1.3, and this draft is doing him favors because he's now under a second as they go into the braking zone for turn 1.
Quick mention, though, Drawhorn actually made it through, but not without some damage on the nose of the car. He's able to keep rolling. I'm not sure if he's slowed down by what happened, though. But there he is right there. He did a pretty good job avoiding most of it, just couldn't get away completely scot-free on that one. And that last lap won't be representative for him just because he got slowed up. So we'll have to wait this time by to see if he's lost time. Peterson, I can confirm, was given a black flag for that incident, unfortunately. Okay, it's down to the last 7 minutes, Rachel. We've got 0.8 of a second between P1 and P2. From there, it gets pretty spread apart for the rest of the field. So I got to think that real focus here is for that race win.
It's got to be, yeah. And right now, this race win is potentially going to be tied between Pies and God. We aren't sure who's going to take this because right now it could be the outsider, and Pies is dropping back.
The lap traffic's been behaving pretty well. There you can see another driver pulling off to the side, Charles Yao, who's 8 laps down, so he's really got no reason to be in anybody's way, and he knows that he finds a good space to get off to the side. Big slide on the exit there for Pies. But I got to wonder if that lap traffic, if they just catch them in a place where it's hard to pull over, Michael, would that be the thing that Chris is looking for here at the end?
Chris is looking for anything he can get. He's down to 6/10 of a second. 2 laps ago, it was 1.3. Chris is really on a good drive right now. As we take a look right on the outside there are a lot of marbles for these guys to be careful of getting around. But that lap traffic becomes an issue. The lap traffic giveth and taketh away. Chris using a good bit of that curbing on the outside as they head under the bridge here going into turn 10.
Back up to 0.8 of a second, so a little bit of a bobble there, unfortunately. And I can report as far as Drawhorn goes, his last lap was a 109.5, so pretty close to his previous pace, maybe just mildly slower. I think he's gotten away lucky on this one. Meanwhile, down into the carousel here, battle between Mazzariello and Campbell. Oh, but Campbell's slow off the turn and away streaks the 25.
Yeah, big advantage there for 25 as they come through that section. Just putting himself in a fantastic spot. Mazzariello's really been pushing down here in the mid-pack. He was, of course, 33rd, so he was right near the back. So he's almost up half the field here. It's been a good run for him, just not as perhaps huge as some people. 11 there. That is Reisenberg we just saw. Of course, he had that pit stop earlier. He had Drawhorn there in 10th place. Those two fighting for position now, so this could be an opportunity to break the top 10 for Reisenberg.
It looks like the pain for Trey is down the straightaway, that long front stretch. No surprise. You hurt the nose, Michael. I got to think you're not going to be as quick in a straight line.
But not going to be as quick in a straight line. Not going to be as good on the turn-in either. There's a lot of aero that happens up there on the front. You've got a nice splitter up front there that really gives you an amazing amount of downforce. I don't think people realize just how much comes up through there. And That was some toasty tires up in front of them. So like we were just talking about, lap traffic. They don't necessarily need to have something like that happen, but it absolutely can. Get in there, get a little bit offline, get lock up on a tire, and suddenly you've got two drivers coming down on you. One of them gets held up a little more than the other, and it's almost impossible to say which one. As we watch Pites close up a ton getting into turn 5, really good run through the chute, and right here getting held up. This is exactly what we were talking about, and this is rolling right into the hands of Christopher Pites.
Oh, couldn't have been more perfect timing, and great job. Oh wow, good job by Cottle to just get out of the way in time and allow them through. But yeah, Pye's down to 0.3 of a second. It is very much on from here. And coming down the front stretch, 0.2 of a second. He could have a good shot. Does he attack now, or does he wait for something better? Because he's going to have to come from quite a ways behind. Big defense from Koholik. And into the braking, the 18 will retain that top spot. A car off track in front of them. DeGroff, and doesn't compromise them too much, thankfully.
Emmeram's around. Emmeram got around him.
Oh, yes.
Emmeram's around Benderpachi. Great run down the front straight. Was able to close it up a lot. I didn't see how they came off of turn 10, but it looked like it must have been maybe Benderpachi got a little bit wiggly, and Emmeram was able to take advantage of it. Gets around him, takes third place back.
I can confirm, yeah. I went back and checked the 770, dipping a wheel off into the dirt, and you can see that little cloud in the background that he had kicked up, and looks like Emmeram was not waiting around for a second invitation. He was going through. Also, Eisenring just lost out to James Huth, who is now up into the top 5. 4 positions gained. Not too shabby there for him. And coming along now back to our leaders. Another very good run from Pies, and another quick defense, Rachel, from Michael down to the inside.
Yeah, exactly what he needs to do here, as he's going to keep looking for an opportunity. But yeah, Michael's just holding him in a good position right now. He is controlling this race.
Just want to give a quick update. Let's stay here. Travis Brody up 13. Could have been maybe a little more if it weren't for the poor pit stop, but that's still a pretty decent recovery. So down into the braking for the chute, a little bit farther behind this time. Not going to see an attack from Chris heading into there. And that car behind is not for position. That's still Cottle, just running a lap down from them. In fact, they have no lap traffic in front of them for a long time. They're going to get 2 to go this time by. So I don't think, at least unless somebody has a spin up in front of them, it's going to be anything to interrupt Michael. This is going to be mano a mano.
Yeah, this is only a quarter second between them as they enter turn 10. From the bridge up into the brake zone, it was right at a quarter second. Now he's right in his draft, trying to get dead up under that tail. Now, see that center line? He's running straight down that center line that gives him the option to still come back over. And Chris Pites going wide on the outside. Can he make it over under? Not with that lockup, though. Oh, good run, though. I think Chris is really doing a good job to get to return the favor, shall we say, of getting into his head.
As Martin Brundle likes to say, ambition over adhesion that time for Chris Pies. Just a little too hot into it. Oh, speaking of which, Minkler did the same thing. He's off in turn 1, and he's going to lose multiple positions after he lost a battle there with Albano. So we stay with our leaders. Going to be white flag next time by. And unless he gets something sneaky later on in the lap, I got to think, Rachel, turn 1 has got to be his goal.
There's a real opportunity here. It's the one he has to send this full speed.
See if he's got it as they come through Paddock Bend. He has to be picture perfect here, and he looks pretty good, but it's 0.3 of a second back. I just don't think that's going to be close enough. Koholik, just as a safety measure, covers him to the inside as they approach the braking zone. And yeah, it isn't going to be here, Michael. What else can he do?
He's got an over-under opportunity here, but he's not going to take it. He's going to push out to that outside. Now he's getting in his head. We're going to see a pass at turn 5. That's my prediction. Chris is going to get up in there, coming through the chute. He's going to get right up beside him and try to make a pass on turn 5. I don't know if it's inside or outside, although I got to say, Michael's done a good job to pull away through there. Let's see what happens. Chris gets up on the inside, makes it, gets him and turns him around. I don't know which way that one went. That's hard to say. That's going to have to be race control's call there. That is really unfortunate for Michael Koholich, but let's take a look at the replay.
Here's the onboard. Ooh, yeah, he pinched down, but he had a nose in. That depends on what you count as presentation.
Yeah, what's their rule on that one? It's hard to say what their rule is. I'm not certain what the PCA rule is, but...
And coming off the final corner, Chris Pies is going to take the win under somewhat contentious circumstances. We'll see if it remains. Amarim is going to get second place because of that, and Banjo Paje will be third. Koholich, it was looking like a potential win on the first time of trying, but only fourth after a disappointing final lap. And now, Rachel, we head to Albano and Minkler here.
Yeah,
Eddie, rather.
Right down to it, but I don't think he's going to make a difference with it here as they're going to come across the line. No change there for them, I don't think.
Yeah, that was Eddie. Apologies. And Reinsberg loses out to Drawhorn as they all stream across. This one, 26 drivers left on the lead lap. Brody did wind up in 15th in the end, and looks like Gonzalez not able to beat Malia, who Chan's still trying to come back after his penalty and battling with Robert Rose. Oh, that was a bad exit. And Sidal says, thank you very much. I'm going to try and take that position, but he doesn't have enough momentum. Chan will at least be able to get 24th. Oh boy, I do not want to be in the steward's shoes right now, frankly, because that is going to be a tough call no matter how you slice it. But in the end, the unofficial results are that Chris Pies took the victory and Rafael Amarim finished in second. Both of them exactly where they began this race, on the front row. Banjo Paje went up from 5th to 3rd as Michael Koholich is scored in 4th currently. James Huth was P5. It was Ed Eisenring in 6th and Gabriel Albano in 7th. Lyle Eddy P8 today as Rich Minkler was 9th and Trey Drawhorn went from 24th to 10th. Michael, that was a run worth highlighting.
Oh, yes, it was. In P11, we have Rick Reinsberg, Chris Hunt in P12, Joe Stiefel 13th, Derwin Kosniak 14th. Now, Travis Brody, how many positions did he come up in that race? Quite a few. I think it was 12. Yeah, 12 or 13. That was quite the run from Travis. Orton Gurlip came in 16th. Dewey Kang 17th. John Malia 18th, with Mario Gonzalez and Rodney Campbell rounding out your top 20.
21st is going to be Jonathan Waltman, Derek M. Cyphers in 22nd after dropping from the front. Robert Rose, 23rd, Nicky Chan, 24th, and Matthew Siddle in 25th. Then one lap down, we have 26th, Jeremy Masriello, Robert Cottle in 27th, Cameron DeGroff in 28th, with Christian Rava in 29th, J.R. Gregory in 30th, and in 31st is Charles Yao, 8 laps down, 9 laps down, Leif Peterson, with a penalty for the first time in a very long time, unfortunate for him. Stephen Jen in 33rd, 19 down, Daniel Rubel 24 down in 34th, and 35th Jean-Paul Lano, 25th laps down.
Peterson's been the clean-cut boy. Apparently that's his first penalty in 4 years. So a bit disappointing for him, I'm sure, but let's see if he can start that streak all over again. We're not going to be able to talk to a winner yet because the finish is under review, we have heard. We do not have an announcement on that, but we do have Rafael Amarim to talk to, who is currently in second place. Could be the winner, though. That's we understand that we might actually wait on that one. So we'll give it a second, let them do their job behind the scenes. In the meantime, Michael, and I'm sure you've probably had to experience this in the real world as well. This is never fun having to wait and find out, is the person who finished the line first the winner?
Yeah, and especially if you're the person who made it across the line first after something like that. And it's a really tough call. I could see it going either way. Chris had a very clear, solid run going in there, and just the point where the turn-in was decided, I think it's going to be tough for the stewards at this point to kind of watch that and from every possible angle and then some, just to see who made the turn in, where, when was the move made. I am glad I am not a steward for that one.
Absolutely. Well, one place we know that this will probably be debated is social media. And one more reminder that PCA Sim Racing social media offers in-race reports, breaking news, and announcements through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. To subscribe, key in the platform name and add /PCA Sim Racing. We have an official results, and it is Rafael Amram who is going to be scored as your winner. Then it's going to be Banjo Paje, who is second, and Michael Koholik, who will be scored third. 14 car, Chris Pies, is being given a black flag. I don't have where that will put him. We'll try to give you that information once we get it. But this means we can talk to our winner, Rafael Amram. And man, perhaps the most shock driver in the field right now. Rafael, congratulations on the victory. Your emotions.
Well, that's a surprise. Definitely wasn't expecting that. It was a fun race, not my best race. This week has been pretty tough, and I was kind of distracted, but it was super fun, and glad to take the win. Don't know what happened, but I'll take the win any day I can.
In that race, it first kind of turned south a little bit. You made a mistake in there. What ultimately caused that for you? Was it just a bit of brain fade, or what happened?
Yeah, I was a bit distracted and made a couple of mistakes. One, I think, on lap 2, and Michael kind of got P2. And then when I got P2 back from Chris, I just lost my braking point. And I went straight not to hit anyone. I figured I don't want to hit anyone or ruin anyone else's race. So I was just a bit distracted. It wasn't my best race, but it was still quite fun. It was nice to be battling for positions, and it was nice to a nice recovery in the end.
And talk about, being up against Michael Koholik for the first time here in the pro class. Were you a bit shocked to see someone his first ever race racing this well?
Yeah, I don't know Michael, but it was an amazing race. He's got a tremendous pace, and the battle between Michael, Chris, and I was just amazing. It was super fun just to be kind of at the front and battling. This was a good race, I think, for all of us. And yeah, it's great to get another fast driver join us, and looking forward to the next race.
And, well, the next race actually will be at Suzuka. Before we head there, is there anybody you want to thank for today's shock victory?
Well, first of all, we would like to thank you guys from Podium and everyone that helps put this together. This is amazing, and once again, I had a ton of fun. And as usual, also would like to thank my wife for all the support and for kind of just bearing with me.
All right. Thank you very much. That was Rafael Amram in the 29 machine, our victor here today. And by the way, we got information that Pies was scored as 13th on the grid after his penalty. And I believe we are actually going to be talking not to another driver, but to one of our race stewards. And I'm checking to see if that's going to be me chatting or if we're going to have Michael or Rachel having a little sit down here. DJ Lion is usually our one of our in-race stewards, having to make those decisions and giving out penalties. It looks like he is actually going to be conversing with me. So, DJ, we were saying, I think we all pretty much agreed as soon as that happened, we did not want to be in your shoes. Talk to us about that incident, what the stewards saw there today.
Yeah, hey, Joe. Basically, the incident qualifies under PCA rules under the section about what does classify as an incident, where contact is made and it affects the finishing order if a driver gets passed or anything like that. So as we look at things like severe damage, intent, stuff like that, we try to, go easy on things that we would consider racing deals, but per our rules, it does classify as an incident, and it is responsible of the attacking car to set up and maintain the pass clearly. I'm sure production is showing some nice replays here under slow motion And basically what you can see is the car 18, who is the leader. He is holding a defensive line midway through the track. There is somewhat a little bit of room down on the inside, but not enough, because by the time that the car 14 gets down there, his left sides are already on the grass, and that forces the contact with the 18, sending the 18 around. Pretty cut and dry incident call there on car 14. And again, nothing against car 14 or anybody out there on the track. Incidents happen. It's a racing deal. Nothing personal against anybody. It just wasn't, the 14's day, and unfortunately wasn't the 18's day as well. Yeah, pretty cut forward, straight call right there. Just, sometimes these things happen.
Well, we greatly appreciate you coming in and allowing us to see behind the scenes and hear the process of this. Do you get much pushback from drivers on a lot of these decisions that you have to make? I know it's never fun to have to be the bad guy, but you have to sometimes.
No, and you don't want to be the bad guy, but you just try to do your best and be as consistent as you can be. A lot of the times, if drivers don't understand a call or have questions or maybe get upset about it, it's usually based off the fact that they're in the car, they cannot see the whole picture around them. 99.9% of the time, nothing is ever done intentionally. It's just kind of the heat of the moment, drivers trying to go for the things, space that wasn't there, and usually I can explain it away. And I've been doing this now with PCA for going on 4, almost 5 years, and I can only think of one time where we ever had like more than just the average sit down. So one time in 5 years, we're all right, but everybody pretty much understands the rules and understands what we got to call. And we have a review process with a review board and a committee that drivers can send protests to and get the review committee to look at them. So there's a lot of ways for the drivers to have input on everything that they need, and we try to do our best to be consistent. And sometimes the chips just fall in the wrong direction, and people get upset. But that's the competition aspect of it, and I love it, and the drivers love it, and I wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
Well, we appreciate you coming to talk to us, and that was DJ Lyon, who we're going to let get to become the man behind the curtain once again as we close up. And we'll see you once again, as we mentioned earlier, at Suzuka, and that'll be at 9 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday, April 20th, live here on Podium Esports. We want to give a big thank you to the steering committee at PCA Sim Racing, and a huge thanks to our team tonight, Michael, Rachel, Ryan, Cameron, and Dougie. Also, none of this is possible without those behind the scenes at Podium Esports, Ryan Bauer, Gary Sexton, and John Theodore. Thank you so much for watching tonight's broadcast of PCA Sim Racing. I'm Joe Peak, and I'll see you on the track.